With the structure completely finished, the next phase of the build was going to be to clad the house completely. For that we needed a lot of materials, so we got it delivered with a crane. We're going to be using two different boards. One for the roof and another one for the facade. The roof material was left directly on the roof using the crane. It was kinda stressful as it was a lot of weight for the recently built structure. But we left the pallet in between two trusses and the structure did not sag at all. The facade material was left on both sides of the house. The north facade was very far from the track, so the crane struggled a bit to drop it in place. After a few minutes with the crane completely maxed out, we got all the material ready to start the work. So after a much needed weekend rest, we started installing the OSB of the roof on Monday morning. First we spread all the boards through the whole length of the house, so we could step on it, that way we didn't have to walk over the metal structure. The first line was gonna be a custom size one, and after that we will install full boards one after the other. So that is why we're cutting here. We were going to present the whole line, adjust it, and then once everything was looking good and nice, we will screw it in place before starting with the second line. Many of you ask me about accuracy or precision tips while working, and it really is just taking all the extra steps necessary to make sure everything you do is down to the millimeter. For example, in this task, the board needs to sit right in the middle of the joist. So instead of just eyeballing it, we drew a chalk line exactly where the board needed to go and followed that line to the millimeter. Here I'm getting ready the next line of boards, while Alex and Fernando continue working on the first one. Alex and Fernando are not used to this weather, so they were getting completely burnt and were struggling with the heat. I borrowed Alex my Columbia white hat and Fernando bought a very heavy hat from home, but I was a thick and wintry one, so he was just burning. So I didn't like that they were suffering and bought them both brand new hats the next day.
Tá?
Sim.
This OSB has tongue and groove, as you can see here, which makes the whole thing much stronger. Before actually starting with the second line, we marked the location of the trusses underneath the boards that we just installed, so we later know where we need to screw, rather than just guessing where the steel is. Then we drew another chalk line, this time on the board, to mark the joists underneath. You can see here that if I follow the line, we end up exactly in the middle of the joist. For this part of the build, we're using again SFS screws. This model exactly if you want to take notes. And then use a special screw gun that stops automatically once the screw is to your desired depth, like the ones you use for drywall installation, which actually speeds up the process a lot. By the end of the day, we got almost 75% of the roof done. The next day I decided to tackle another project by myself, as I saw that Alex and Fernando had everything under control on the roof. The house will have 3 fireplaces, one with 2 sides that will be enjoyed from the bathroom and from the master bedroom, which is where I am now. I am measuring exactly where it goes to get ready to cut a hole on the roof. Then we will have another fireplace in the living room and another one in the workshop, all the way at the end of the building. After doing a lot of research, I decided that the best way to bring the fumes flue up in a structure like ours and through the flat PVC roof that we're going to be installing was to physically build a chimney and then insulate it and fireproof it properly to pass the fumes flue through it. That way the PVC membrane of the roof will not be affected by the heat of the fireplace. Alright, with the first hole already cut, I was ready to start building the chimney walls. So I carried a few profiles I bought to the roof and started assembling it. You can see at the end they don't have a thread. What it does is once you screw 2 layers of steel, they stay inside and this works as a rivet. Next day we started to work on the facade. The first thing we needed to do was to mark our horizontal line where the first board needed to go. So for that we used this green Hilti laser and a chalk line. As you can already tell, I love quality tools, and one of my favorite tools this year has been this Anker Solix C1000. I started using it almost a year ago. You have seen me using it several times, mainly as my primary source of electricity for the building site. I installed it in the building site shed, where it charges all my batteries at night, the 18 volts battery, the 12 volts batteries, and my work headphones. And I just set a timer on the Anker Solix Smart App control, so the battery turns off after everything is charged at night. And it is so small and light that I take it with me wherever I need electricity, like I have shown you, like when using tools that I have with cables, like the demolition hammer drill, the meter saw, or in this same episode, plugging my Festool vacuum to vacuum the whole roof of the house. And it has never let me down. It is powerful enough to run all of them with a capacity of 1056 watts hour, with a power of 1800 watts of wattage output, with a maximum of 2400 watts surge wattage via surge pad. I charge it here and there using the solar panels that we have on top of our off-grid workshop, and when I see there is going to be a sunny day, I just plug it into the AC outlet, and it charges really fast to 100% in only 58 minutes with the ultra fast charge. And then I use the stored energy at night and during cloudy days. I have always enough with this one, but they also have an expansion battery which connects to the C1000, doubling its capacity to 2112 watts. If you are looking to get a battery and all of these fits your needs, the C1000 is definitely a fantastic option. Small, light, powerful, and very well built. It is actually Modern House Cabin approved, and there is barely a scratch on mine after almost a year of abuse building our house with it. You can save up to $849 on the Ankersolics C1000 and its bundles during early bird sale. Buy it now using my link below and enjoy amazing discounts. Alright, with the horizontal line perfectly marked in the structure, we started installing MgO boards. MgO stands for magnesium oxide boards. The brand that we bought is called Magox, and basically it is a magnesium oxide board which is fireproof, waterproof, and 100% recyclable. It can be exposed to humidity, rain, etc. with no issues, as it does not hold water. That was actually one of the main reasons I decided to use it, since we don't know how quickly we're going to be able to finish the exterior of the facade. So this layer is going to be exposed to the elements for at least a couple of months. And my experience with OSB is that in a few days of rain it holds a lot of water and expands a lot. We're going to be waterproofing the roof very quickly, like in a week or so. So I was not afraid of leaving the OSB of the roof exposed for such a short time. By the way, you can see here how quickly they cut the windows. They just install a full board and cut the window from the inside with a saw. I personally don't like the MgO board for the roof, as first it is a little bit heavier than OSB and a little bit more brittle than OSB or plywood. I mean, it can be used like that with no problem, and actually Blocken uses it on the roof all the time, but in our case, since the structure was already calculated with OSB and I want to install solar panels on the whole roof, I was not very comfortable adding additional weight to the roof. The Magox brand guarantees that their boards are non-toxic and they have less than 0.1 chloride. By the way, this is not sponsored. I just wanted to share this new product with you guys, as I am very excited to be able to use an alternative to OSB for our house. Each board, as you are about to see, takes a lot of screws, so they use this automatic screw gun. As I said, it is just a drywall screw gun. You just set the depth you want the screw to be installed, and it has an automatic clutch, so when you push the machine against the wall, the gun starts to screw, and once the screw is at the depth that you picked, the clutch engages and the machine stops automatically. It is very cool, or better said, a similar one after seeing them use this one during this week. Here Fernando wanted to show you guys how it works. if you turn this top part, you set the depth of the screw. As you can see, he's adjusting it, so it will be too deep. And now he adjusted it to be flush to the board. This is another detail I wanted to show you guys that Blocken does in their structures. In between two lines of boards they install this metal plate, so the whole house is blocked once again and makes the whole structure even stronger. It is a 1.5mm thick, which is 16 gauge if you are in the States, and like you can see here, both boards get screwed to it. First the bottom one and then the one above. This type of small details add up a lot of manual work, and the cost is a bit more, but they guarantee that you have a solid house in the end. I mean, we just had a 5.4 earthquake recently. I don't expect a crazy earthquake, hopefully, but if it happens, at least I know that we did all it was possible to have a very sturdy home. Alright, while all that was going on, we actually were working on different other things. This day, I finished the chimneys. Cutting the pieces one by one, like I did in the previous two, with the angle grinder, proved to be very slow, so I decided to change the workflow for the next two chimneys and do it differently, in chain. After screwing the top, I was not 100% happy with the fit, so I fixed it with the hand router. Using the router for this actually ruined the bit, but I think it was well worth it. This router bit has a bearing that slides right on top of the piece that you want to copy, and the blades cut the piece that is above completely flush to the bottom one. Alright, this is another day. I don't even really know when anymore, to be honest, because we work so much and so long in so many different things that my memories from those weeks are a bit blurry. But here I was again going up the ladder. I went so many times up and down that ladder already that I promise I will burn it once I finish the house. I do not want to see that ladder ever again in my life after I finish this. My task today was to finish up the OSB around the skylight. I told Fernando and Alex that since they were running short on time, that I could do it easily on my own. So it was the very last part missing from the roof. I took the dimensions very carefully. Actually, instead of taking dimensions, I just copied the shape from behind because we were running very short of OSB. So I needed to use all the leftovers that we had carefully and not mess up any cut. Otherwise, I would have needed to drive a couple of hours to buy an extra board. I marked where the stats were so I could screw the board to them. we were so short on material that I cut the tongue for this one, so I could use the whole length without wasting any material.
Sei por outro, se quer só por aqui. Essa não é por isso. Se quer só você uma coisa forte. Tá, isso é por isso. Tá, vai. Volta pra trás. Puxa pra trás, puxa pra trás, eu quero ir por isso. Não tem coragem? Sim, mas tu ia, agora. Tem coragem?
This was the next day, and actually the last one. It was Friday, and Fernando and Alex needed to leave by the end of the day and go back home, and they would not be able to come back to help. And the only task left for them here was to trim around all the openings with the MGO. Again, I was doing other things that will come up in the next video, but I know some of you might think that I was just sitting and chilling, so I decided to make this clip extra long so you can see me passing by to go up the roof and Eugenia with a volunteer with the roof insulation, which by the way was a little bit scary to do, but we had no other choice, but you will see that in a future video. For the interior, we're going to be installing double gypsum boards on the inside of the house. Making it double is obviously double work and double the cost, but it just makes the walls much more luxurious when you actually touch them or like bump into them, and it also helps soundproofing them. And I'm saying this now because, as you can see, we are putting the MGO trim 13mm in, so it will be flashed with the first gypsum board. Then, once we install the windows and doors, I will install the second gypsum board that will go over the MGO and cover the window frame a bit. Fernando was actually enjoying to be around the camera, and he wanted to show you guys just that. As you can see, the first gypsum board is flashed with the trim, and then we will install a second one over both.
Carpinteiro assentamentos, portas.
After a couple of weeks of work, Blocken's help was done. They came to help give us an extra push to the project and join forces with us to take this project to a whole different level. And we built what it possibly is the role model of light steel framing structures. I know it sounds cocky, I'm just being honest. I wish I could have had a YouTube channel showing me all this 10 years ago for free. This whole process was the product of years in university, years of experience in LA working as an architect with light steel framing structures and building our own prefab homes, mixed with the expertise of what for me is the best light steel framing builder and manufacturer in whole Europe. And they were kind enough to let me film and share with you all their tricks, which took years. I mean, you can imagine years and years of work to be polished up to the clean workflow that you have seen here in the past episodes. So again, I want to thank Blocken for all their help, their time, their kindness, their perfectionism, and for being just like me. We share a common motto, and it is that there are no shortcuts for good architecture. I hope you guys value these videos and the effort that I'm putting on explaining everything over a voiceover, as it had added a couple of extra days of work for each video for me to do it. But I think that this way you guys get to know much more. In the end, Alex and Fernando felt like friends. We were to lunch breaks with them all the time and enjoy each other's company for weeks at the building site. They were very focused in their task, but they were also paying attention to us all the time, seeing if we needed an extra hand with what we were doing on our own, which, by the way, I will show you in a future episode. They came like strangers to our life and left being friends, and we might see them in the future again, hopefully.